Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of In the Spotlight. I'm Mike Panici, and that music's pretty fitting because our guest today really is one of the best in town, and I'm honored to have her on today. And of course, I'm talking about she's a 4-year starter for the Ansonia girls basketball team. She's also a member of the softball team. It is my honor to introduce to you today JoJo Sanchez. And JoJo, I want to thank you for coming on today. It's a real honor.
Thank you.
So, JoJo, let me ask you, how did the love for basketball begin for you? Were you at a very young age when you started just going out for biddy and stuff?
Yeah, I started playing instructional basketball at the Armory when I was little, and then from there it just took off.
Right. And, I'm trying to think, were you like 8 or 9 years old when you began? Or, I mean, was it sooner than that? Because, from talking to Coach Del Volpe, it seems like you've been pretty much playing since, you were old enough to walk.
Yeah, from about 8 or 9, yeah.
Right. So let me ask you, did you play other sports? I know you're currently a member of the softball team, but were there other sports you played as a kid, or did you?
I played football when I was younger.
Wow. So explain that a little bit, because, that's not an easy sport to play, and, it's not always easy, but sounds like you enjoyed it. Huh?
Yeah, it was fun. It was just, I was always the girl on the team, so everyone looked at me different, but it was fun to play with my friends.
Right. And how many years did you do that?
I played football for 4 years.
4 years. Wow. And they've had some good coaches over the years. I mean, one guy that's been coaching forever is Greg Soldier. Were you able to play for Greg at all?
I didn't play for him, no.
No. So who were some of the coaches you played for in Pop Warner?
Brian Picarillo.
Right.
We played for Jarvis, Benjamin.
Right. And what positions did you play in those 4 years?
I was a lineman and kicker.
Wow, kicker. Did you kick extra points, or were you mainly like a punter? What?
Like just a kickoff. Like if we scored, kick it off.
Yeah, that must have been a lot of fun, though. I mean,
yeah, it was fun.
Did you enjoy doing it for those few years, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, JoJo, let me ask you. Obviously you played a lot of biddy basketball, but basketball also has a great feeder program. Definitely in Ansonia, they've done a good job. Coach Del Volpe, along with Dave Chevarella from Derby, they've started those, programs over the years. Did you play any AAU as a kid?
Yeah, I played AAU and I played Ansonia Derby travel.
Right. And just talk about that a little bit, because, biddy basketball, you're always guaranteed to play, but travel, you really have to earn your spot. So, I mean, talk about playing travel. Do you feel like it got you to be, not, I wouldn't say where you are today, but it helped?
It definitely made me better, yeah. And it was good that my stepmom was my coach every year I played. So, She always wanted to make me better as a player.
Right. And what position did you play starting off? I mean, were you always
point guard?
Point guard, right. And, big responsibility as a point guard, JoJo. You got to make sure the offense is flowing right. You can't always be the scorer, because, the point guard's got to get everyone involved. But it sounds like to me you didn't really care. You were just going to do whatever helped the team. And that's kind of what's been going on in your high school career. But early on, I think you learned that you had to be unselfish. And how was that playing point guard? Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy playing point guard, yeah. Sometimes it got tricky, but just had to push through it.
Right. And, the toughest thing, JoJo, for a kid, especially a young kid your age, is, it's not just the games. You have to, devote a lot of time in practice. You work on drills that maybe you don't like so much, but you have to do them. And then there's always going over team offense, team D, inbounds plays, stuff like that. I mean, did you enjoy all those things? I mean, because they definitely, are a big reason why teams are successful.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. At practice, it was just good energy, especially in high school with Coach Vince. He always made sure the energy was at practice to make us all better.
Right. And who were some of the teammates you played with when you played travel basketball? Any of your current teammates right now, or?
No, Natasha Rivera played for Ansonia Derby, but I never played with her.
Right.
I don't play with anyone I play with now, no, though.
Right. And I mean, did those travel teams have some success? I mean, I'm sure you girls played all over the place, all over the Northeast, probably went out of state at times. I mean, was it a lot of fun?
It was fun, yeah. Just travel experience was fun.
Right. Now, let me ask you, JoJo, you're currently a member of the softball team as well. When did you start playing softball?
I played softball when I was little, but this year was my first year playing for the high school.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, you did start for the high school this past year, correct?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And you know what? Talk about that team because that team had a good year. You know, you had a very good pitcher and Brooke, is it Yezik? I
Yeah.
might be. Yeah. And Brooke was very good. And just talk about that team a little bit. And also talk to me about, you girls got to play on a very, new field for the first time. It was like, I think it was the opening home game for Derby at their new field. So just talk about that experience a little bit.
Softball was a good experience. I didn't expect to love the game as much as I did. I went in
Right.
thinking I was just gonna be another player they needed, but it was
Right.
more than that. And to play with a few girls that I knew, but I never got to play on a team with, it was a fun experience.
Right. And what made you decide to go out? Did you just want to do something after basketball? Did the other girls encourage you to go out? How did that come about?
It was like a mixture of both, and I wanted to play another sport with my sister before I couldn't play a sport with her again.
Right. And what position did you play this
I
past year?
played third base.
Right. And the team had a lot of success. I believe you girls made the tournament and that was a big bounce back year for Ansonia because I believe before COVID had hit, they the previous year they did not have a lot of wins. So you girls really brought, the winning tradition back there. So just talk about that season a little bit because it seems like, you girls are really on the rise going forward.
Yeah, it felt good. Like we didn't start off good, but as we continued, we realized that school hasn't won a lot, so we had to make a difference. So then we started to win, and then we got the feeling of winning, and it just carried from there.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, JoJo, you had a new coach this year as well, right? The first year head coach. It was your coach's first year coaching. I think
Yeah.
previously it was Lindsay Wheeler and she went over to Shelton. So just talk about the coaching staff a little bit on that team.
The coaching was good. It's just sometimes it got tricky because it was first year, but
Yeah.
the players knew the game, so they kind of helped the coach, and our assistant coach knows the game, so they just came together and helped us.
Right. So let me ask you, JoJo, before we talk about high school, did you play on the Ansonia middle school team for the few years you were at that school? It starts in what, seventh grade, Ansonia
Yeah,
Middle? Did you play on a school team for those 2 years?
yeah. I played seventh and eighth grade.
Right. And just talk about that a little bit. Did you feel like that helped you, because you played probably some of the teams you would see in the MVL in high school. Do you think that helped you prepare for high school? And how did you do during those years, would you
I
say?
think it definitely helped me because I in middle school I kind of played with some of the girls I played with for high school. So that's where it started off. Our chemistry came together. So in high school we just carried it over.
Right. And did you girls have a lot of success those couple of years there?
My seventh grade year we went 10-2. We lost to
Wow.
senior twice. In
Right.
eighth grade it wasn't a good year because a lot of girls didn't play basketball my eighth grade year.
Right. And JoJo, one of the things Coach Del Volpe has done a great job with, and like I said, he's kind of partnered with Derby's coach Dave Chevarella. So he's really gotten, you girls to play summer league ball, spring league ball, he's fall league as well to keep you girls fresh for the upcoming season and stuff like that. So just talk about, not only has he been good as a high school coach for you girls, but he's also been doing a great job, building the program for the future girls to play for Ansonia. Talk about that.
He definitely makes sure we're always doing something basketball. Like if it's off season, he wants to make sure we're practicing on our own. And if we lose, it's just a loss to him. At practice, we come back and prepare for the next game. He doesn't let a loss take us back. He just makes sure we move forward and wipe the loss out the way.
Right. So let me ask you, JoJo, you enter your freshman year, and I know they've had JV. I don't think they've really had a freshman team in the last few years at Ansonia. So what was ultimately the goal for you as a freshman? I mean, were you just hoping to play JV, or did you really want to be out there on the varsity level?
I wanted to be out there on varsity.
Right. And, JoJo, one thing I've noticed about you, and, even when the few games I saw you play last year, is you really have a confidence about yourself. You don't really get nervous. If you do, you don't show it. As a freshman, being out there and starting and stuff, I'm sure you were a little nervous, but I'll tell you what, you definitely didn't show it. I mean, as a freshman, I think you scored about 275, 276 points. I mean, just talk about your freshman year a little bit because, I mean, you really had a tremendous year. And I think the team won the first MVL title since maybe 2008.
Yeah, my freshman year, I kind of came in knowing like eyes were on me. Like they knew I was coming in freshman year. So like during the game, I just knew I had to be the person everyone looked at. So it kind of just made me feel comfortable. And my teammates, of course, made me feel comfortable playing with them.
Right. And JoJo, the thing of it is that you want to win some type of championship. That's always a kid's dream. And you girls did win the like I said, the division title that year. I think you won 17 games, 16 or 17 games. So I mean, I think previously before that, Ansonia had a couple losing seasons. So right off the bat, you enter your freshman year, and you and your teammates, just took that program, back to respectability. Just talk about, getting that program, where it used to be in years past.
Like, yeah, coming in before I came, they didn't win at all.
Right.
And then when my season kicked off, it was like we started to win. More people started to come watch us. And it just, from there, it just grew because once they see you winning, they want to watch the game. And it was just a good feeling to be part of it.
Right. And I believe that was the first tournament berth for the girls in 4 or 5 years. I think 2013 was the last time. So I'm sure, like it had to be a great feeling for you as a freshman. And knowing you probably, weren't satisfied because you always want to be better. But 277 points and, division title and 17 wins in your first year, playing for Ansonia, it had to be a great feeling. And also, you would probably view it as a success, correct?
Correct, yes.
Right. So, JoJo, let me ask you, now you go into your sophomore year, the expectations are going to be even higher for you because, this team just had a great year. You had a great season. And sophomore year, did you put any added pressure on yourself to perform at a higher level, or you just said, I'm going to go out there and do what I know I can do?
Sophomore year, I kind of knew it was going to be different because they saw me play freshman year, so they knew what I could do. And it was tricky, but at that point, I just kept passing more to get my teammates open. There wasn't all eyes on me, so I just made sure it was all eyes on the team at that point.
Right. And, JoJo, you girls followed up that previous season with back-to-back 17 wins. And, 277 points your freshman year is very impressive. But, you even took it a step further sophomore year with 311 points. So, I mean, right off the bat, in 2 seasons, you had scored over 500 points. I mean, did you think to yourself, wow, I mean, I'm really doing something special here? Or do you try not to think about your stats too much?
I try not to think about it. Usually, like, I get told what it is. I never go to check because sometimes it's just like I'm more focused on the game than how many points I scored. But at the end, to hear how many, it's a good feeling. How many points.
Yeah, and JoJo, the thing of it is too is your sophomore year, you were also selected to the all division team for Ansonia. And I don't care like what level you're playing, when you get told you've been selected to any type of team, whether it's all state, all MVL, all division, whatever it might be, that had to be a great feeling. And especially, your sophomore year, JoJo, was kind of, a strange one too, because you girls had made the tournament and then COVID hit and you never really got to kind of, enjoy that season at the end like, we had all hoped you would. But was it a great feeling to be told you made all division?
It was a great feeling. I didn't think I would be able to do it as a sophomore, and I did. So I was just surprised and shocked for myself.
Right. And JoJo, I'd have to go back a little bit. I'm sure Coach Delavolpe probably knows. He's a great historian of Ansonia sports. But I can't remember a time where there were too many teams that had back-to-back 17-win seasons. So, it's like anything else. You want to be a great player, but you also want to be a great teammate, and you want to have a great team. And in these 2 years, you had already helped that team win 34 games in 2 years. I mean, that had to be a sense of accomplishment to you and your teammates that, we've got Ansonia girls basketball headed in the right direction.
It was a great feeling, yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you, JoJo, now let's talk about COVID because it kind of interrupted everybody. There were no spring sports. Like I said, your season, I believe, did you girls, I think you girls played 1 or 2 tournament games that year, and then COVID kind of hit and everything got canceled.
Yeah, we made it to the second round.
Right.
We actually lost second round.
Right.
States. And then after that, it all went down.
Yeah. But, so many teams, JoJo, had, I think of Notre Dame of Fairfield. They had an undefeated season. It looked like they were going to win the state title. The season gets shut down. Nobody really knows what this virus is going to do. And you girls, you had to go through that. You also got your junior season cut short a little bit. Just talk about that year of COVID, like just not only, trying to, you know, stay safe and stuff, but just not being able to do a lot of stuff. You lost a lot of your sophomore year and stuff like that. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely different because like practice, we had to wear a mask. Games, we only played 10 games in a season, and we weren't guaranteed to play in states. But then we made
Right.
it. We made it to the MVLs, and then we got shut down because of COVID. In the beginning of the season, we got cut short too because of COVID.
Yeah.
And just like the season wasn't
Did you
how we
worry?
wanted.
Did you worry at all that you girls may not have any season last year? I
Yeah.
mean, because I'll be honest with you, when there was no fall sports, I thought to myself, they're not going to have winter sports. And, that would have just been a shame for you, your classmates, and that senior class as well.
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
think it would be a season at all.
Right. So let me ask you, JoJo, you know, uh, like I said, you have uncertainty going into your junior year. It's a whole new thing. You're doing this online learning. Your junior year, you're going to school certain days, you're not going to school certain days. You got to do a lot of stuff on the computer. I mean, how difficult was that for you as a student to have to, distance learn like that? Because, it's hard for kids in elementary school, definitely junior high, but, as a high school kid, I mean, you really need to be in the classroom, because it's not easy to, do stuff when you're on a computer. So just talk about how difficult it was for you as a student with this virus.
Being home was definitely a struggle for me because I need to be in a class to get the learning experience. So learning through a computer was difficult, and plus, like all the like my grades, they weren't great because learning through a computer, it was a struggle for me.
Right. Jojo, so many people went through it. I mean, just talk about, like, I'm sure for you personally, like, you look at kids that you played with in basketball, and again, you're most likely going to have a whole senior season, 20-game season, but your fellow class or upperclassmen or class girls, they didn't get that opportunity. It got cut short for them. They only had the 12 games. I mean, did you really feel bad for them that they lost like a spring season, then they lose the fall sports, and then winter they only get half a season? I mean, it could not have been a good feeling for you and your fellow teammates.
Yeah, I definitely felt bad for them because they all expected, they didn't think this would ever happen. They expected to play their 20 games each season. And
Right.
for them to get told it was cut short, it was kind of like it affected our team altogether for them.
Right. So you girls enter your junior year, and season didn't start till February, I believe, but you do finally get a season. And again, 12 games, you score 104 points, which is just unbelievable. And the sad part is, JoJo, is you probably would have scored over 300 again if you had that full season. And right now I believe your points total is at like 697, maybe 700. So you got a legitimate shot this season to get 1,000 points. But I mean, if you have those 8 games back, you probably even have an easier shot at getting 1,000 points than you would going into the season. I mean, is there pressure to get that, or you don't really think about that too much?
I do think about it, and I think there is pressure because like not every game is guaranteed I'm gonna score. But coming in this year, knowing like I'm the senior, I have to help my teammates. I think I'm gonna be able to do it because the ball will be in my hands, but I'm not gonna look at it as just me. I'm gonna get my team involved too to help me get there.
Right. And it's a big accomplishment to get that. I mean, only a few select people have done that over the years in high school. It's not easy to do. And you really have a great shot at this. I mean, what would it mean? I mean, you're not going to be able to really tell me until you actually do it, what it feels like. But what do you think it would mean to you, to your family, to see you have that moment and get 1,000 points?
I think it'll mean a lot to them because they all watched me play from when I was little. They always talked about how they wanted to watch me play on TV, and to see that I made an accomplishment like that in high school, it'll make them feel good.
Right. And let me ask you, JoJo, you talked about watching on TV. Do you watch the Lady Huskies a lot? I mean, would you say that's the college team you root for? Do you watch the
Yeah,
WNBA at all, and the NBA too as
yeah,
well?
I
Just
mostly
to
watch UConn girls.
Yeah, yeah, and UConn girls, they've had quite the success, and they also had an Ansonia kid as a walk-on a few years back, Tierney Lawler, walk on there. Is that ever like a thought in your mind to maybe try to walk on with UConn, or would you just prefer to play college basketball somewhere and, be able to play at the collegiate level?
I probably would prefer to not be a walk-on, but if a
Right.
walk-on is an opportunity, I would take it.
Right. And is the goal for you to play in college when you get out of high school? I mean, do you want
Yeah,
to
I want to play
continue?
in college. Yes.
Right. So let me ask you this, JoJo. What is the expectations coming into this season? I mean, you girls, like I said, have had quite the success the last 3 years. The team has been very good. What are you and your teammates? What are your expectations going into the season? What is the goal for Ansonia girls basketball?
I just feel like our goal is to take every game and go from there. We're a small team this year, but if we work together, we can make it happen. We can win games.
Right. And let me ask you this. You know, there's always those tough teams in the NVL. What would you say some of the teams that you girls will really have to watch out for this year? Who would you say are going to be your toughest games?
I would say Seymour definitely,
Right.
and maybe Woodland.
Woodland, yeah, and they're always pretty good,
Yeah.
Right. And as far as the softball team, you girls have a legitimate shot to have a great season. If you have pitching, you could always win. And you have Brooke, who's amazing. I mean, and
Yeah.
I think she's only going to be what, a junior now?
Yeah, she's
Or
only a junior.
yeah, so I mean, 2 more years, she could really be something special and really help this team. I mean, is there that goal to maybe win a state title in softball this year?
I think we could do it if we all work together to do it. We have talent on our team. We just have to put it together and make it happen.
Right. JoJo, talk to me a little. I know we've mentioned him a few times, but just talk about Coach Vince Delvolpe because, you could see the pride he has for this girls' basketball program. And, it's like, that's his thing. He loves coaching this. He coaches baseball, but it's Ansonia girls basketball. That's his passion. And he's really worked very hard to kind of, make that program a winning program. Just talk about what he's meant to you as a coach and to all the, girls on that team.
As a coach, he means a lot to me. I started training with him when I didn't play for him. That's when I first.
Right.
And then actually play on his team, it changed the game for me because he would yell at me to make me better. And freshman year, I used to take it as criticism.
Right.
And I get upset about it. But now I look at him and think he's trying to make me a better player. And it's not easy to deal with girls as a coach, but he does it every day and he doesn't give up on us. He continues to help us get better.
Right. And I mean, definitely what you're doing in your career. I mean, obviously it's the stuff that him, the other coaches have really, worked with you girls throughout your 4 years. I mean, that plays a big part into how successful you and your other teammates are, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So let me ask you this, JoJo. Most important thing is, academics, obviously, sports second. And, you take your academics very seriously, which I could tell. But, what ultimately would be the goal when you're in college, like as far as a basketball player? Do you just want to be able to, make your way on the team and play, get playing time and stuff like that? I mean, is that really the goal when you get there?
Yeah, my goal is really just to get the college experience, as a player and a student.
Right.
Different college basketball than high school, different atmosphere. And I just want to be able to be a part of it.
Right. And the one thing I've noticed about Ansonia in the last 3 or 4 years is they've always been known for their football team. We know that that's always been number one, but every sport is really doing well right now at Ansonia.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the football team that's doing great. The volleyball team, I think, has even been very good. Then you have both softball and baseball are doing tremendous, making the tournament. And now you have the girls basketball and boys basketball. So, I mean, every sport right now is really, clicking with Ansonia sports. I mean, do you see Ansonia sports, really starting to take off in every sport they have there?
Yeah, I do see it. Compared to where sports started, we're definitely making a difference now.
Right. Now, JoJo, have you been elected captain for this upcoming season? Did Coach Delvolpe pick captains
We did
yet?
not pick captains yet, no.
Right. So, chances are if you're elected captain, I mean, you've always led on the court. You lead by example. So, you've always been a leader. But, you'd have to be a leader, with the, sophomore and junior girls that come up, freshman girls, stuff like that. I'm sure you're ready to handle that, but how would you handle as a captain, maybe like a freshman or sophomore girl who's struggling a little bit and maybe just needs to work a little harder? What would you do as a captain to try to help them?
I would just make sure they feel comfortable. Like, even if they need to stay after practice and need help, I would stay after and help them.
Right. And I
Like,
think
every player should be able
right.
to feel a team.
Right. And I think, because you were once that person that, was like I said, I don't think you were timid at all, but you were a freshman playing with older girls and stuff like that. So you could kind of relate to that. So I would think that you would try to make them feel accepted right away as members of the team. And, once they're there, they're your teammates.
Yeah.
Right. So JoJo, let me ask you this. As far as an individual, like we know the goal is to get to 1,000 points this year, but individually, I mean, besides the 1,000 points, what is your goal like as an individual this year?
My goal is to just be better. Like, I always want to be better than I was the year before. Like,
Right.
last year, it wasn't my best year because it was cut short. And this year, I just want to make up for the years I didn't play my best.
Right. And JoJo, one thing that gets a little unnoticed sometimes because you score so much and you do so many great things offensively, but defensively, you're outstanding as well. You had a lot of steals last year, a lot of rebounds that people don't realize as well, which, for a point guard, you don't always expect that. But I mean, I think you averaged about 10 to 12 rebounds. So just talk about the little things that you do that are so important to helping this team win.
Definitely defensively, yes. Freshman year, defense wasn't my key thing, but then I realized, like, it's part of the game. So then I stepped it up sophomore year, junior year, and it just felt good to be able to play both sides of the court.
Right. So JoJo, let me ask you before we go, what advice would you give to somebody that was you once who's like in maybe fifth or sixth grade, they're playing travel basketball and they really want to, be the best they possibly could be in basketball and, further their performance? What advice would you give to them, going forward?
I would just let them know to keep trying, like, keep pushing themselves even when they don't think they can do it. Keep doing it, and it'll show one day, and you'll get better.
Right. Well, JoJo, I really do appreciate you coming on today. It's a real honor. Coach Delavope speaks very highly of you. Is always talking about what a gifted player you are, and it was really nice to talk to you because you're doing so many great things, and I wish you nothing but the best. And we're all going to be rooting for you to get that 1,000 point this year. And thank you again for coming on, and best of luck this season.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, there you have it, folks. JoJo Sanchez has had quite the career. It started as a youngster, maybe age 6 or 7 years old. And today, as a senior at Ansonia High School, she is just doing so many great things. She's only 303 points away from 1,000. She's helped Ansonia girls have back-to-back 17-win seasons, 3 straight tournament appearances. But more importantly than anything else, the type of leadership, the type of character she has is what stands out the most about this amazing human being. Basketball is just a game at the end of the day. It's the people that really make the game special. And it's safe to say that in Ansonia High School girls basketball, JoJo Sanchez is one of those very special people who has made a lasting impact. For In the Spotlight, I'm Mike Kenichi saying good night, everyone.